Good morning, lovers of the Bhagavad Gita, lovers of Krishna, lovers of Radha, lovers of Sita, lovers of God, lovers of Divine Mother. You can choose your own names, but it doesn't do it all justice. No, we don't need names. We just need presence, my dears. Like yesterday's stream, we ended in a beautiful thing. It was about the holy fire of God. And it said, "Oh, holy fire of God, burn in us until only love remains." Yeah. And it's a similar feeling today for me. It was that guy who did the habits for highly successful people. And one of those habits is to begin with the end in mind. So I'm gonna suggest something as we sit here this morning and be on part four of renunciation, the power of renunciation. And it's not like renouncing the stuff that we need to do to discipline ourselves. No, we will renounce the stuff that would only make us feel the presence more, right? That's what we would renounce. But anyway, we're going to be on part four of renunciation. So anyway, my dears, what I would like to suggest is that one of those habits of highly successful people is begin with the end in mind. There's nothing more powerful for you and I to consider is not to let this day go by and forget the end goal. What's going to happen in the end here? None of us are going to be here. So the whole key to a happy day, for starters, is to put yourself in that state of consciousness that you want when you're taking your last breath, or however it's going to end up, right? You want to be able to so practice that every day, to have your consciousness where you want it to be at the end. Don't wait. Every day practice it, my dears. Every day practice it, because that gives you absolutely the best attitude you could have, is like putting your consciousness on what you would say is the end goal, or what you want. And Yogananda, in these verses that we're on right now in this chapter 18, verses, well, we were on verses something to seven. Yeah, three to six, three to six. And we were playing around with those. And just gonna bring your attention to just last week and the week before a few key things to show you how Yogananda lived with the end in mind. His consciousness is the end in mind. Anyone who's awakened, his consciousness is at the end in mind. And that mind is, well, for example, I'll read this short paragraph just to give you the context. This is page 1020, verses 3 to 6, chapter 18, as I mentioned. Self disciplining actions, my dears, of conquering physical restlessness, practicing mental concentration, and striving for ecstatic communion. Striving, striving, but not banjai. Striving, striving, striving. One day, but not banjai. One day, the goal. One day, the goal. All right, strive, strive, strive. One day, the goal. But not banjai. So, self-disciplining actions of conquering physical restlessness, practicing mental concentration, and striving for ecstatic communion of soul and spirit in meditation. It's exactly what I'm saying. Would you want to go at the end, have your last thoughts, it says. And in this Gita, we've already been on that verse that talked about that those who are chanting Om at the end will find themselves in the highest realm of the in the worlds, with God, in the bliss, in what Yogananda says over and over again, this ecstatic communion of soul and spirit in meditation. Yeah, should be performed. Should be performed, he says here, to train body, mind, and soul away from identifications with confining bodily pleasures, and to make one's whole being a tabernacle of divine bliss. So let's say you want bliss. Let's say bliss is, well, this is what Yogananda suggests, right? We then begin with the end in mind is beginning with the being in a tabernacle of divine bliss. All you have to do is just think of that throughout the day, my dears. The end, the end. Don't get caught up in today at all. No, it's the greatest delusion is to think you have tomorrow, says the Lord Buddha. All right. And then just below this, still on page 1020, he says, at the end, at the very bottom, the devotee banishes baser attachments to material activities. But in time, the yogi should dissolve all attachment, even to meditation and good actions. Eventually, that's all gone. There's just the bliss, my dears. There's just the joy of God. These things we need to have uppermost throughout our day. The more, the merrier. The more you remember that this is the goal, not your struggling, not your meditation per se, in perspective of what he's talking about. It's all got to go. It's all got to go. Anything that you think you're doing has got to go because it's not your doing. This whole thing is to surrender completely our life to God. What did Yogananda said that to offer you'll never find God's love until you surrender to him or her. You'll never find God's love until you surrender to the goal, to the end goal. Begin with the end in mind. All right. So anyway, this little sentence at the bottom of page 1020 says this: banish baser attachments to material activities, but in time, the yogi and yogini dissolve all attachment, even to meditation and good actions. And this is what I title today's stream: in the ecstasy of communion with God. Much like the being in the tabernacle of divine bliss. But within one paragraph, Yogananda brings to our attention the end goal, the whole being in the tabernacle of divine bliss and in the ecstasy of communion with God, that we're going to banish all attachments, even to meditation and good actions, in the ecstasy of communion with God. See, that's a beautiful end goal, right? Don't you have you thought about how important it is to practice every day the end, how you want your consciousness, and have it today. Have it today. You'll be surprised how it puts you in tune with the divine beloved. And you'll go, if you can do that, what I'm suggesting right now, if you can put your mind on the divine in the ultimate sense of the complete surrender, because you're going to need to surrender in the end anyway, right? You're not going to fight it. You're going to go lovingly. Just check out that poem in the Songs of the Soul. The the devotee who at the end of his life was telling his family he was dying in a little hamlet, and he was dying and everyone was crying. He said, "What are you talking about? Just in a few short hours, I'm going to be in God's ecstasy. Don't worry about me." Yeah, read that poem. Read that poem. But anyway, if you can do that, you're going to find that in the bottom, your bottom line, you'll come up with your bottom line, the thing that's most important to God, what's really, really in your heart. Yeah. Does it make sense? I just had to share that with you before we go on, right? Because this is why you're here, my dears. You're not here to study anything. You're here to become. You're here to become. And to get those blessings from Krishna and Christ and Yogananda, to be able to have the end goal of this whole Gita, the end goal of entire lifetime and lifetimes, right? The end goal that you can experience it today. Today, not tomorrow, not next Tuesday, but today. How's that? So then we go on to say on page 1021 to end those verses up to number 7. Thus does the Lord caution Arjuna. So, right after we're saying that we need to be able to dissolve all attachment, even to meditation and good actions, in the ecstasy of communion with God. See, take a minute or two, even right now. And what does that feel like to you to be in ecstasy and communion with God right now? Come on, huh? Just go there. Just go there. The more you practice it, the more it will be here with you, obviously, right? The more devotion you have, the closer to God you get. And the closer you get to God, the less people you'll see, or as they say about Christ, those who went, at the end of his life, they went to the cross and all that stuff. But you'll find that a lot of the devotees didn't make it there. It was too much for them. Anyway, don't let me get sidetracked. So let me just take this little end paragraph on top of page 1021. Thus does the Lord caution Arjuna. This is what we were saying, that when man or woman has crossed the thorn entangled garden, the thorn entangled garden of superficially charming evil, and entered the enchanting, fragrant garden of virtue. What a poet he is, Yogananda. He should not remain wandering therein. So, what he's saying here in his commentary, Yogananda, that the Lord is cautioning us that when we cross through a lot of this entanglement of being in the physical body and the physical delusion and the physical, uh, you know, survival mechanisms and all that, that when we cross over those thorn entangled garden of superficially charming evil of what life is trying to convince you and distract you into believing in, right? And you enter the enchantingly fragrant garden of virtue, and you finally have gotten to a place where you are feeling much, much better about your spiritual consciousness, right? That you don't remain there. You don't remain there and go, wow, you just arrived into an enchantingly fragrant garden of virtue. Don't rest on your laurels there, is what Yogananda is saying here. And you enter an enchantingly fragrant garden of virtue. We should not remain wandering therein, my dears. There is no inline until you are in that ecstasy of communion with the divine. That's just it. Simple. So what I'm just saying is don't wait till the end, because you'll be dead in the end if you wait till the end. Start to have the consciousness that you are, that we're being advised by Yogananda and Krishna and Christ to have, because we already have it. We just have to improve our knowing, right? So behind these dark and bright gardens, Yogananda goes on to say, is the palace. Here he goes again. Here he goes. There's that man again, Yogananda. He said, behind these dark and bright gardens is the palace of God's ineffable, ever new bliss. Ineffable, ever new bliss. Now tell me, sincerely, you're going to go this whole day and not have the thought, even just the thought of the end goal? Huh? So it's pretty important, huh? It's a good message, isn't it? Yeah, really important message. No, we don't have time anymore. We don't have that time anymore to mess around on this planet. We don't have time to do our thinking. We don't have time for anything, my dears, except time for the divine. Yeah, just totally, totally dedicated to the path that we have chosen to be on, and the Guru whose love is unceasing and Divine Mother who never leaves our side. That's the only focus to have. That's our bottom line. If you get to your bottom line today, you can be free. You can be free in that bottom line. Because if that's what you want at the end, that means you're going to strive for it every moment in between now and the end. And then the end, you'll have practiced so much that it's a reality in your life. If you can even go there, like I'm saying, going there just once today, just having a moment where you just surrender everything and you go into a state of the in your consciousness, the ecstasy with God in communion. Create it, create it. You'll find what an absolute amazing thing that is. One will get you there. It will get you there because once you do one, you won't be able to stop. All right? Because you'll realize, I just discovered my bottom line. What you, right? You got to live in your bottom line. You got to live in the deepest part. It's like the most purest part of your heart. To live in your most purest part of your heart. This is what I get from the Bhagavad Gita. I'm sharing it with you. So thank you, my dears, for coming on. Narayan, Mary, Alex, Lisa, Jim. I'm missing Denny. She was here last week. Verse 7, are you ready? Page 1021. Are you ready? After that beginning. Verse 7 says, Krishna says, the relinquishment of dutiful action. The relinquishment of dutiful action. So the stuff that we need to do, like these little examples that I'm sharing with you. It's just a creative thing that I discover, right? But you come up with it. If it doesn't work, come up with your own creative way. But do not relinquish your dutiful action. The relinquishment of dutiful action. What's your most dutiful action? What don't you want to let go of, right? It's your devotion, my dears. It's your devotion. To be unto pure devotion, devote yourself, says Krishna. Unto pure devotion, devote yourself. That's dutiful action, right? That you're in a state of devotion today. That you're in a state of love today, right? That you're in the state of you're going home today. So there's no need to worry about anything. You know what I'm saying? The relinquishment of dutiful action is improper. To let go of our in duties, the inline, is improper. Renunciation of such action through delusion is spoken of as tamasic evil. This is verse 7. So, what does Yogananda comment to say about this? To refrain from performance of dutiful actions is itself an unspiritual or tamasic act. So your mind's all over the place. All right, we get used to that. We think that's part of it, right? We don't even we don't even know how much that we're just in our thoughts and in our usual routine today, right? We don't even know. But it is a tamasic act to forget our dutiful actions, which is to unto pure devotion, devote yourself. Go to the end line for you. Get to your bottom line. You have to know that. You have to know what is your bottom line today, because if you should slip on a banana peel today, you'll wish that you had known what is your bottom line today. All right? So, to refrain from performance of dutiful actions is itself an unspiritual or tamasic act, because abandonment of obligatory actions promotes. So we're just going about another day, without a deeper dive, like we're suggesting. Which some of you, this is why you're here, and this is why some of you come to the daily sacred meditation as well, is so that you get your daily fix, so that you get a reminder for yourself for the day, right? That you can make something really happen today in a spiritual way, ever new, ineffable, ever new, ever new. Not like yesterday, but like today, ever new. Because abandonment of your obligatory actions, which is to love God, which is to love, promotes delusion and evil. So anything that doesn't, oh, holy fire of God, burn in us until only love remains. Yeah, yeah. I had that little song in yesterday's stream, and I didn't do the best part of it actually, where I was going because it. I used to do workshops, and we would do that in the first day of the workshop, and we would do that, Om Swaha. We would offer ourselves into the sacred fire, and we just, imagine the sacred fire right in the center of our group, and Om Swaha, Om Swaha, Om Swaha, Om Swaha, and we would just throw everything into the sacred fire, just to start our immersion. It's called immersion in love. Just to start, we'd do that. Om Swaha, Om Swaha, Om Swaha, Om Swaha, Om Swaha, Om Swaha, Om Swaha. So after we walked around that sacred fire and just, that's what they do in India so much. They just go Om Swaha. It means I release everything into the sacred fire of God's presence. Om Swaha. And then what I didn't tell you guys yesterday was that then after we do the Om Swahas, Om Swaha, Om Swaha, then we just kind of turned and just kind of just moved the body, had our arms up in the air. I give back my mind to spirit. And we're just, I give back my heart to spirit. I give back my soul to spirit. I give back my body to spirit. I give back everything to spirit. And I throw myself into the flames of bliss. And we all just went and just throw ourselves into the flames of bliss, that imaginary sacred fire. And I throw myself into the flames of bliss. How's that? How is that? That's how we started our immersion in loves. Yeah. And it's just making me want to go back to doing those workshops, my dears. Okay, so listen, let's go back to Yogananda's commentary here. So we don't want to have abandonment to the obligatory actions that promote delusion and evil. Because if we don't go do the obligatory actions of the right stuff, we're going to be in delusion and evil. Yogananda says the spiritually ignorant person can find redemption. The ignorant person can find redemption only by performing dutiful actions with the desire to please God. It's simple. You can have one mantra. I do this for you. Yeah. It was in that great movie that was Robin Hood, one of the Robin Hoods, right? In that song, everything I do it for you. Search your heart, search your soul, and when you find me there, you'll search no more. Can't it's just something about I won't don't tell me it's not worth fighting for. Don't tell me it ain't worth fighting for. Everything I do, I I do it for you. Something like that, right? But listen, performing dutiful efforts with the desire to please God. What pleases God? Your love and devotion. It's not that what you do. Don't get caught up. Remember, this is part 4 of talking about letting go of all the fruits of our actions, letting go of all of our expectations, right? Letting go of our desires. You don't need them anymore. You've been here too many incarnations, and this one's getting old itself, right? It's getting down to the short strokes, my dear. So we got to do dutiful actions with the desire to please God. If we renounce our engagement with good activities, if we renounce that, that's we're going in reverse, I say. If you renounce your engagement with good activities, you'll find yourself steeped in delusion, engaging in evil activities. Because if there ain't the love, there's the fear, right? And fear can only lead to a really difficult life. Such bewildered human beings are called tamasic, who through delusion shun activities that lead to salvation. All right, so we're talking the opposite. Hello, Vinny, my man. Thank you for coming on, kind sir. Yeah, it's been a good one. I hope you've been on the line the whole time. So that's verse 7. That's a Tamasic talk about the Tamasic side of things. Verse 8 says, he or she who relinquishes action as being intrinsically difficult for fear of painful trouble to the body is performing Rajasic renunciation. She and he is unable to attain the reward of renunciation. So we're going through the gunas, obviously, right? So the dark side, the tamas, we just talked about. That if we just completely ignore the our real duties, which is to please God today, right? What pleases God? The only thing he doesn't have is your love. What pleases him the most is you give your love. That's what we're talking about. And if your bottom line is love, you've got it. You're free. As of the moment that you just decide and have that moment with God, at the end in mind, that this is the state of consciousness I want at the end. I want to love the love. I want to love Creator. This is what the Gita is saying. The only thing that's really going to work is love, devotion, is surrender, all those things. So that we really have a, a, a head start in some ways just coming to this Gita, my dears. And for so many weeks and months and years, we have been. So even the Rajas, the person who goes to work and has not the dark side, but still that if you're making, a big deal, it's too difficult to remember to turn your mind to the divine many times during the day or whatever, right? And your fear of the pain, it's trouble. It's this, it's not easy for you. It's difficult for you. You're performing Rajasic renunciation, and then even in that, it's not the dark, but it's still going to enable you're going to be unable to attain the reward of renunciation. All right. So let's see what Yogananda says about the rajas and renunciation in part 4. Since we started this run on renunciation in this verse in this chapter 18, it's been a doozy so far. But that's what Krishna said. You're going to get, in the end, this chapter 18 is going to be condensed. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be, just the summation of everything that I've taught you, O devotee. O devotee. What did the Divine Mother say? She says, I can give you salvation, but not my love and devotion. For when I give those away, I give myself away. Ask of me salvation, but not my love and devotion. For when I give those away, I become poor and locked in your heart's way. Yeah, yeah, it's what a master's chant. The Divine Mother says, I'm not going to give you that love, my love away, because then I'll be locked up in your consciousness. But if your consciousness is only love for me, I'm in, she'll say. You can have all my love. You can have all my love. So this is what Yogananda says about this Rajas, those who make a big deal, big fuss about, you know, letting go completely. He said, performance of good material actions with expectation of results. For example, earning one's livelihood is rajasic activity. So I know you're a good person, da 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 da. You take care of it, you pay the bills, you get the children through school, maybe through college, da 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 da. You earn your livelihood, take care of the children, is rajasic activity because you're doing it with an expectation of results, or you're not. One who forsakes such material activity on the pretext of practicing renunciation, but whose motivation, that's the word. What is our motive? What is our motive? But whose motivation is actually the fear of encountering the pain or troubles involved in it, performs only non spiritual rajasic relinquishment. She and he therefore do not attain the reward of true renunciation. That was Yogananda's commentary, right? So we can find many reasons still to be attached to the results of things, my dears. Easy peasy, right? That's why we're in a body again. That's why we came here. We've come here to love so much that it just wipes out all our old karma and it keeps us from making new karma so that this life takes us to the ecstatic oneness in communion with God, or the tabernacle of bliss, or the ineffable bliss. All these words you can not use in today's stream. All right. So I'm going to turn the page and we're going to see. Oh, yeah. So he therefore does not attain the reward of true renunciation. And that goes on to say, which is freedom from ensuing karmic bonds. That's what I was just telling you, which is freedom. Does not He therefore does not attain the reward of true renunciation. So here's what we're after: true renunciation, the reward of true renunciation, which is freedom from ensuing karmic bonds. More return trips, more return to the same lessons that you're going through right now, especially if they keep recurring to you. You know, what are our triggers and all that kind of stuff. We've come here to annihilate them, to electrocute them with the cosmic love and the cosmic devotion and things. A devotee who renounces all superfluous material activities and remains engaged in spiritualized, dutiful activity ultimately gains salvation as a result. So here we go. Here's someone that's pulling out of the Rajasic state and going for the Sattvic state, which is coming up after we get this commentary from Yogananda. A devotee who renounces all superfluous material activities. So you're renouncing all these superfluous material activities and remains engaged in spiritualized, dutiful activity ultimately. So you didn't abandon your spiritual, dutiful activities. You ultimately gain salvation as a result of your relinquishment of pursuits that cause soul bondage. So you've done quite a job here, relinquishments of pursuits that cause soul bondage. But a person, a man or woman who quits dutiful action out of an aversion for physical labor or fear of some consequent pain or difficulty only outwardly forsakes action. Inwardly, she and he remains bound to the body, a slave to ego and its sensations. She and he will find herself adverse not only to unpleasant material activities, but to the effort demanded by liberating divine duties as well. All right. Yeah. Well, this is we said begin at the end in mind. This is why you guys come on Gita and have been here for I don't know how many years it's been, 9 years. Maybe it's going on 10. I don't know. This is why you're here, to get the bottom line and to discover your bottom line. And then take that bottom line and make it the first thing in the morning and during the day to remember God with and get into that state that you want. And in this case, ecstasy in communion with God. Yogananda's words, ecstasy in communion with God. Not a bad thing to want, right? To desire. The divine man does not avoid activities that are for a good cause, even painful ones, for he sees them as God reminding duties. He forgoes only activities that feed his egoistic consciousness. Such a renouncer, striving for God consciousness, receives the liberating rewards of the renunciation of delusive activities. He receives, finally, he gets the rewards, the treats, the rewards of the renunciation of delusive activities. Ah. So, this next verse 9 has got to be about the sattva, about how we really want to go about it. We're getting close, huh? You're starting to hint at what we're up to here in this verse 9, I'm pretty sure. O Arjuna, it starts. Krishna says, O Arjuna, when dutiful action is performed solely because it should be done, forsaking attachment to it and its fruit, that renunciation is considered sattvic. Yeah, sattvic, top of the line. Your bottom line becomes the top of the line. Top guna. Even then, we got to let go of the gunas, even the highest ones. Everything goes, my dears, into the sacred fire. I give back my soul to spirit. I give back my body to spirit. I give back my heart to spirit. And then a few more things. I give back everything to spirit, and I throw myself into the flames of bliss. Into the flames of bliss. Om Swaha, Om Swaha. All right. So let's listen a little to Yogananda's commentary. Then I'll see that I better get going for my next thing, the Sacred Soul Meditation. Let's just hear Yogananda's start of his commentary to that verse 9, which is all about the sattvic. Obligatory actions are divinely ordained duties. Obligatory, that which you're meant to be, your dharma, your purpose, my dears. You're a divine being. So you better believe you have obligatory actions that are divinely ordained duties because you're a divine being. No messing around here. They include the obligatory actions that are divinely ordained duties. They include the necessary caring for the body, nurturing of the mind, and the pleasurable duty of meditating on the soul. The pleasurable duty of meditating on the soul. And also those selfless actions performed for the benefit of family, neighbors, and the world. The relinquishment of egoistic attachment to these actions, the relinquishment of egoistic attachment to these actions and their fruits, while continuing to perform these righteous duties as obligatory because divinely ordained. Does it make sense, doesn't it? Does it make sense to you all? Is the purest form of abandonment. Sattvic, the purest form of abandonment. He's talking about now the abandonment of all the things that lead to evil, that lead to even a rajasic existence, because it's going to keep you from tasting the real wine of God's love, right? It's continuing to perform those righteous duties as obligatory because divinely ordained is the purest form of abandonment. See you later, world delusion. See you later, planet Earth. I'm going to another domain. I'm going to another place in the higher realms. Not to say things are bad here, but there's a much better place to be hanging out. It's the purest form of abandonment, sattvic renunciation. The devotee who remains in ecstatic communion with the soul simultaneously watches the sensory and motor. I'll repeat this into next week. We'll start here next week. I'm going to put a note here. Yeah, we'll start here next week. The devotee who remains, but since we talked about ecstatic communion with God in meditation as our topic this morning, along with being renunciation part 4 in the series of renunciation, in this chapter 18, God talks to Arjuna, the devotee who remains in ecstatic communion with the soul, simultaneously watching the sensory and motor activities of the body without any desire or attachment, attains the highest or sattvic state of renunciation. Whether she or he is engaged in dutiful physical activities or in motion, is motionless and ecstatic meditation on the infinite. In his consciousness, her consciousness, the divine presence is ever predominant. And feeling the boundless blessedness, she and he automatically renounces all attachment to lesser sensory pleasures, material objects, and fruits of actions. The automatic relinquishment of all else upon finding God is considered the supreme spiritual renunciation. Just a few more words. We'll repeat these next week. We'll start here. The devotee who relinquishes lesser sense pleasures to gain the unknown bliss of God. Here goes Yogananda. There goes that man again. The devotee who relinquishes lesser sense pleasures to gain the unknown bliss of God has entered just the first stage of sattvic renunciation. The yogi who obtains the divine bliss and then consciously, deliberately, convincingly renounces all else has attained the ultimate state of perfect relinquishment. There goes that guru again. You know what I'm saying, my dears, right? You know exactly what I'm saying. We all have the same focus. We're all on the same trek. We're all on that beautiful guiding light trail into the presence of God. So thank you, my dears, so much for coming on this morning. I missed you last week, Mary and Alex, but I finally got you that video over to you last night. If you haven't looked at your email, you have last week's renunciation part 3. This is renunciation part 4. All right. Everybody good? Everybody good and surf fitted, properly surf fitted? Are you did it make some good sense? Was there a few knockout punches to the ego from this morning? Just a few, huh? Great. Thank you, Tom. You're welcome, Vinny. Hope everything's well. God bless you and the family and everything, my dear friend. Mary, Alex. Yeah, okay. Cool. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, there they go. Woo-hoo. All right, my dears, thank you so much. I'm going to get ready for the next little thing that I do on a daily basis. All right. Yeah, there goes Lisa, Jim. They don't miss. They don't miss a trick. That's for sure. There we go. All right. Thanks for the hearts, my dears. Thanks for coming online with the divine. We'll see you next week, and we'll just go over that verse 9 again, where we heard all the goodies about the coming up of the sattva stage 1 relinquishment. All right. Love you. Aho. Namaste. God bless us all. God bless our world. Aho. Jai Guru. Jai Krishna. Jai Ma. Jai Ma. We throw ourselves into the flames of bliss.